You are doing a commendable work. We urge you to expand on the mission. What do I mean? By establishing a national organization with open membership. We don't feel that when we are commemorating about 15 December 2013, and we make it a Nuer affair. This is where the enemy will always want to capitalize on it. But let us make it as a national affair. Those who are willing to join this organization, men who always remembering the people, the victims, survivors of December 15, 2013, will join, and that will make it, I think, an honorable gesture to the victim. That is one thing that we encourage. It's important. Documenting records of the victims, survivors, witnesses, and their testimonies. Records never lie. Records never rot. You can delay justice, but you cannot delay record. Other generations will come and use this record at their time, especially when there is a new political dispensation that wants to secure justice. And therefore, documentation is very, very important, especially in this era, that there are many technologies there that you can keep records that can exist for posterity. So it's important for us to have the records of the victims, survivors, witnesses, their stories kept adequately for future. Because we don't want somebody at the end of the day to come out with excuses. And we can do it easily because we can utilize many references that are there that we can search, especially the African Union Commission of Inquiry report. It's very, very important. That report is there. Though the people try to self it, people try to disagree over it, but it's a very important report. It will help. And then exploring legal pathways. It's now important that we begin to explore other legal pathways. The ICCs and African Union, East African Commission, especially the legal mechanism. NAS, we are able also, we can be able to help as NAS, sharing, especially our resourceful persons and our legal expert team to cooperate with this group in anything that we feel it's important for us to make sure that this endeavor is structured and made formal and attracts attention, not necessarily of people of South Sudan alone, but human rights activists all over the world. Because in the civilized world, especially international law, people who are committed to civilized democracies or civilized states, there are certain principles that people agree in, are regarded international. And this includes fight against genocides and crimes against humanity. So when we organize ourselves about this, we'll be able to attract international sympathy, and it will help us. They'll give us their expertise, they'll give us their support, they'll give us their resources as we continue to reorganize ourselves. So this is one of the advice that we brought in to help the community, such that it is not about thinking only of 15 December, how to commemorate it, but there must be consequential activities that always people do to make sure that at the end of the day, justice is given to the victims, the survivors get permanent healing and comfort, and the witnesses are able to have their stories heard or tell their stories and stories being heard. And then at the end of the day, justice is delivered for everybody. Unless we're able to work towards that, we cannot be able to achieve what has been bothering us. In conclusion, we pray for the souls of those who were killed on December 15, 2013. We pray for healing and comfort for the survivors. We also pray for the strength and courage for the witnesses to one day tell their stories. To the people and leaders of South Sudan, let us double our efforts to end the regime of Salva Kiir and his network of destruction. The spirit of our people remains strong, even when the body is exhausted. To the organizers, thank you for honoring us with this invitation. We value it very much. We stand with the victims, their families, and the Nuer community in particular. Your pain is our pain. Your struggle is our struggle. Your survival is our survival. And your victory will also be our victory. May God bless South Sudan. Thank you very much for your time and for listening to me. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Ustaz Soba. Thank you very much. Molan Teresa, I give it back to you so you can allow or introduce Dr. Fall, Dr. Hajj. You can have a moment, and then we go ahead and with the program. So he's been waiting patiently since we start the program up to now. At least he has to give us a little. We'll come back to you, Molan Teresa.
Yeah, thank you, Computer Gatiel, and also want to appreciate Computer Suba Samuel, the last spokesperson, for his great message. Right now, we'll give chance to Dr. Hajj to maybe give a message also in this commemoration day today. Dr. Hajj, if you're available.
Yes, Teresa. Thank you for the organizers of this very, very important event. And before I say anything, I would like to commend everybody that is in this room. Your presence here reaffirms the unity of the oppressed in South Sudan. And it also reaffirms that the South Sudan we all believe in is not the South Sudan that is led by the people in Juba. This day is a day of remembrance, a day of connections with our recent painful experience in our then 2-year-old new country. The events of 2013 are not gone. And I wish to emphasize that 2013 was only the beginning. And many people refer to it as genocide of 2013. In my view, that does not represent the sufferings of our people, especially the Nuer, because a substantial number of our fellow citizens, the Nuer, were singled out, demonized, and murdered by the regime. Although over 20,000 people were killed in Juba, many others were killed in different towns, and they continue to be killed until today. So the genocide is not over. This genocide is ongoing, and it is impacting every South Sudanese who I know are shocked. And almost each and every South Sudanese is carrying the trauma of that day. So, one way or another, we are all victims. We have suffered. But then we have suffered by a bigger margin. So, we ought to be remembering that the genocide has not stopped. As I talk to you today, there are foreigners brought in by the very people who initiated this genocide to continue with that process. We have been, since then, picked upon by this regime. Lots of us countrywide are displaced from our homes by force, by violence. Most of us, the human resources of that country, the people who are educated from other tribes, have been picked upon, have been murdered. So this is a tragedy of our country. And it is good to talk about it. Because if we don't talk about it, it will not come to an end. While we are fighting it as we go, we must keep remembering. Hence, this day is very important. We call it Remembrance of 2013, without forgetting that that was the first beginning, but we are still victims of this ongoing war. If anybody doubts the fact that genocide has been ongoing for the last 12 years, I would want to know, why is it that Nasir is being bombed daily? Why is it that Olang is being bombed? Why is it that in Bentiu and other places are being bombed? Why is it that people in Abyei are picked upon and are being killed? Why is it that the intellectuals in Upper Nile are being picked upon and killed? We have to be honest in our assessment of this situation. Because, as the previous speaker has spoken, others seek to minimize the magnitude of this problem. Others seek to dismiss the deep pain that the Nuer have gone through and are experiencing, and the rest of their brothers who have faced the same situations, like the ones I've mentioned. But this will not change the reality. Okay. The genocide is ongoing for 12 years. Others will say, no, there is no genocide. But I think, and I believe, the Convention of Genocide clearly identifies what a genocide is. And in simple terms, it says, when an ethnicity or when any other social group is vilified, demonized, killed systematically in huge number with the intention to get rid of them. This is what has happened in South Sudan starting 2013, and it's ongoing. Who doubts the drip killing of the Nuer from 2013 until today? The stories are coming in one by one. Even if they kill one person a day, still it adds up to that genocide because the numbers keep rising. The intent is to get rid of a group. The intent is supposed to get rid of certain people in South Sudan so that their land is taken. And the definition clearly tells us that this is what's going on in South Sudan. Now, we know what a genocide is by the acts that are being done. When we see it, we know it. We saw the start in 2017, we know it, and it's ongoing now. So the history of genocide it did not just start in 2013 for us to haggle about the meaning or the identity of it. Genocide has been a historical event. It has been there centuries ago. The recent genocide we know is the Armenian genocide around 1914. We also know about when the Turks killed a lot of Armenian people with the intention of trying to wipe them in order to take their land. We also know of the Jews in Second World War. And in Second World War, they say the Jews, but it was not the Jews alone. The Roma people of Europe and the black people of Europe were as well killed between 1939 and 1944. Most recent is the Rwandan genocide of the Tutsi, 1994, followed by the start of our own genocide with the killings of the Nuer. So genocide does not just happen. It doesn't happen just because it's something that happens accidentally. Always there is an intent. The dominant group that targets a social group or an ethnicity, like in our case, the Nuer, which was started with, always they have intent. They have a reason why they want to kill. And we know that from Carol Berger's thesis, it was said in there by the leaders of the JCE that the Nuer need to be cut down in size. So the intent is to reduce the Nuer to a manageable level that cannot pose any threat to them. They will not finish the Nuer, but they will cut a big number down such that the Nuer become ineffective. That's genocide. Another important identifier of genocide is organization. For any group to commit a genocide, they will have an intent, and they will organize. That organization involves either using the state, as in the case of the Nuer and ourselves, or using a group, a dubious group, to carry out these horrendous crimes. Now, the organization as well is used to vilify, demonize, and dehumanize. This becomes an indoctrination to the group that is supposed to take out this genocide. In our case, we knew about it when Dr. Peter Nyaba Oduok Nyaba wrote about what happened in September 2013. We found out that militia were already organized, brought into Juba without the knowledge of Ministry of Defense, without the knowledge of the military itself. And within this organization, they created this militia. And then within it, they carried out the reconnaissance in Juba by trying to identify home by home. This is what led to the door-by-door killing of the Nuer. So you see, this is not an accident. It's not something that just happened incidentally. It was something that was well planned. And the people who recruited this militia, we know them. The people who organized all these crimes, we know them. Because the essence is this in organization, no human being can kill another human being unless you put into their mind that the other human being is not worth the value of a normal human being. They will demonize them and vilify them so that they look like animals, so that they are easy to kill. Because if that person is like you, it's difficult for you to kill them. And this is because of the intent. Okay. They started this event in 2013, which is ongoing. But also they needed a reason to start this genocide. This very Kir, President Kir, who was seen as a peacemaker, who was the commander in 1999 in Wunlit, who protected the Wunlit conference, who contributed to the Wunlit conference, in which all South Sudanese, including people from Kordofan, people from Blue Nile, people from Fanos and other parts of the oppressed people of Sudan came. Bulls were slaughtered, everything was done. Then Nuer and the Jeng agreed to put everything to rest. There was peace. Then the very person who provided security to this peace conference became the very person to open up the wounds that were buried in Moonlit. He invoked 1991. Fellow countrymen, sisters and brothers, do you see where the intent and organization is? Do you see the heart of such a person? When you have gone through traditional spiritual things, buried the hatchet, he reopens it and then ignites genocide. What happens? Our country is wounded, everybody's traumatized. South Sudan is traumatized. So the killing of the Nuer in 2013 is the killing of South Sudan. Since then, South Sudan has been going downwards. It is slowly atrophying. Every day the sun rises, South Sudan is getting into an uglier place, and the future of South Sudan is now in the laps of the gods of wars. All of us are injured. There is no tribe in South Sudan that is not injured. And while we remember this day and we remember the victims, the very people who voted for the independence of South Sudan, if we were to analyze that, the most painful thing would be they would be considered as people who have voted for their own death. Really? Is this the South Sudan that we fought for? And of course, our genocide, and I call it our genocide because it is still ongoing, and we suffered, and there is the genocide that Equatoria suffered is a result of this ongoing genocide. We are all victims. And this genocide on us has been covered internationally by governments that support the regime in Juba, simply because of their interest, the material interest that they want. Our people were sacrificed and are being sacrificed simply because of the interest of others, including those who are providing aeroplanes to bomb us to smithereens. Yet, the most important thing which we South Sudanese should be pointing out and refusing it and explaining it to tell our truth, we as South Sudanese have failed. And we, by doing that, failed our own brothers who have been murdered by these oppressors. And that is the statistics of the dead in South Sudan. By us not taking this problem of the statistics of the death in South Sudan, we have minimized and allowed the world to remain blind to what happened, what started in 2013. The London School, the University of London School made a study which came with the conclusion that approximately 400,000 people were killed. And this was in 2016. But I don't believe that this report has actually represented the reality of what happened in South Sudan. And this report was written by, obviously, sources, people who have got interest in the country, people who have made the international community not to know that genocide has happened in South Sudan. Today, as I speak to you, many places I go to where people are discussing things, and when I bring the issue of Nuer genocide, they'll say, oh, no, that's not a genocide, that's a massacre. It's been minimized to something minor. It wasn't a genocide. And I tell them this is something ongoing. This genocide has not ended. Because when the time for it to end is when this Juba regime has been taken out of power and everybody in South Sudan can live peacefully, that is when the genocide will end. But as long as people are being killed by this regime, based on the fact that they want this domination to continue, the genocide is ongoing. So Up till from 2016 until today, everybody's saying it is 400 people, 400,000. What about the people who are being killed daily? In South Sudan, you could actually estimate that maybe about 500 people get killed daily. If you multiply the number, this genocide from 2013 to today, my own estimate, and I could be totally wrong, but I think it's not less than 1.8 million people. And if this report is challenged, you will see figures can change, because nobody has been collecting the people who were constantly being killed in Upper Nile, Bahar Ghazal, and Equatoria. Every day, people are being killed. Take, for example, the bombings. Do people know how many people are dying? No. So this report is a sham. It is done by people who want to hide the reality of what has happened in South Sudan. And today, if we were to have statistics in South Sudan, we would be so shocked to see how the population of South Sudan has been cut down by millions. But that time will come. And so we ought to be talking about our realities. Because some people will come and say, oh, opposition is killing people on the road of Juba, and they'll give you 1, 2, 3, 4 figures. But yet they don't want to acknowledge the thousands of South Sudanese that are being bombed daily. So we honor those who have, unfortunately, whose lives have been cut short, who perhaps would have, a lot of those people perhaps would have been the most important people in the world through South Sudan. Or maybe there would be some explorers, or maybe there would be some scientists, but all their lives are cut short and nobody knows about them. But most painful has been the reports of the UN, the killings of the children. So look at the horrendous behavior of these dominant people, killing children and women across South Sudan. If you want to destroy a community, or if you want to destroy a society, target their women and children. Because women are the guarantors of next generation. They are the ones that give birth to the children. They are the ones that give the children's culture. They are the ones that ensure their growth. And if you begin to kill them, as we see, they are either burnt in huts, burnt in houses, shot outright, simply because of their tribe. This is a strong evidence of genocide. Killing women and children is a